All right, here we are. Road Test Center. Who's nervous? You nervous? I'm not nervous. We're going to give you exactly how to pass a road test. Exactly. Every single step. You ready? Let's go. All right, here we are. We are at a road test center. Now, we're at a closed section of the road test center because I want to make sure we do this as safely as possible since we are running a camera. But welcome to the next episode of the Driving Lesson series where we're going to talk to you about exactly how to pass a road test. We're going to give you every single step from three-point turns to parallel parks to lane changes to how to move your eyes, how to move your head. What are they looking for? What is going to knock off points? And what's going to cause you to fail? So let's get started on this right now, right from the beginning, from when the examiner comes right to your car and visits you right in that passenger seat. It's a little intimidating, but we'll give you some tips on how to handle it. All right, so things are going to start up at the car level. They're going to get into your car. You're going to be sitting waiting for your examiner. And that examiner will join you in your car shortly after you've registered. So don't be intimidated. I know you're going to be nervous. Take a couple of really big, deep breaths. That's all you need to do. You've got this. You know what you're doing. You know how to drive. I know you know how to drive. You've watched our videos, so you know how to drive. I get it. But the examiner, of course, is going to feel like a little bit of a curmudgeon. They're going to feel like somebody who doesn't really want to talk to you, and that's been done on purpose. So for when they get in here and they don't sound like they're all that friendly and they don't sound like they're going to take a lot of time with you to get to know you, that's true. They're not. They're going to be very robotic because they cannot be pushed or bribed or whatever into passing you, right? And including just being super friendly. So just be aware of that. Don't be put off. They're probably very friendly people in real life. In this situation, they're not going to give you much, and that's normal. So they'll get in here. They'll explain to you what the road test is going to take. It's going to take about 15 to 20 minutes in a typical sort of if it's a graduated license program, you'll have a very early, very quick driving test on the road to get you your early license. It won't be as long as your full test to get you your full license, which is usually about 45 minutes. So there's two kinds of tests often in jurisdictions that have graduated licensing. If you're one test and only one test and you get your license after that in your jurisdiction, it's usually about 45 minutes to an hour your test. So that's what to expect. They're going to tell you what to expect that way. They'll talk about some of the things they're looking for, like lane changes, turn signals, head movement, obviously obeying the laws of the road, the speed, and everything else. They'll talk about the fact that they're going to do three-point turns and that they're going to do highway driving if it's a full test, and that they're going to do parallel parks and roadside stops. So we'll go through all of those things. We'll make sure you know exactly what they're looking for, so that way you can feel comfortable that you are doing the right things and you're going to pass this test. If you're very good at three-point turns, feel free to skip that part of the video. Just move forward to wherever it is you need some work on. But I would suggest at least watching that part once, because there might be some things you didn't really realize about a three-point turn that can make it a lot easier, so that you don't have the risk of backing over to somebody's garbage can or something like that in the middle of a disastrous three-point turn. So we'll make sure we get that covered too. So again, like I say, just jump to the parts of the video you need. But again, I would watch the whole video itself first, just to make sure that you've got everything and every little piece of tip is there for all of the exercises they're going to do. Okay, so the first thing they're going to do is get back out of your car. Okay, they are going to wander the car for safety. One of the things they're going to look for is your windshield. If you've got a little chip in the windshield, that's fine. If you've got a big crack, they're not going to take you on the road test. Doesn't mean you fail, but they are going to walk away. So don't go with a vehicle that has a big crack in it or has significant damage to the outside of the vehicle. So let's go through what they're going to do very first part of your test, where you should park when you come in to do your test and why. Here we go. Let's go. All right, coming around the vehicle here, here's exactly what you want to do. You want to be parked in a spot, and I'm actually a little bit over on this line. I'm actually surprised by that. I do better than that usually. I wouldn't park like me then in that case. I'd try to be a little more centered, but definitely come through here and be centered. Be right in the middle of the parking space, but be that your front is facing out. The reason I say do this is because if you come in here and you park with your back facing out of the stall, what's liable to happen is that when you get back from your road test, they're going to ask you to back into a stall because they couldn't see that you could do this, that you could park it like this in the very beginning. But if you start this way, a little trick of the trade, if you start this way, oftentimes they'll let you just pull right into the stall at the very end of your test because they've already seen that you can do this. Now you can see that in my case, it doesn't look like I'm doing very well with it, but that is a one-off, I promise. Okay, so when we are out here with the vehicle, the first thing that they're going to do is get you to test some of the safety features of your vehicle, including the brake lights and the turn signals. So the number one thing that's going to come up is that they're going to want you to hit the brakes. Now, being that I'm the only driver here, I'm not in the vehicle, I'm not going to be able to hit the brakes, but when you do hit the brakes, these brake lights all along here need to come on. If they don't come on, you're not going on your road test. I can guarantee that. They'll ask you then to, and they'll point, signal right. Okay? Then they'll ask for you to signal left. Those signals must come on to pass that part of the test. They will go right back around to the front. They might do this in the front in the first place for efficiency, but they will go around to the front and do exactly the same thing. They're going to ask you to test your right turn signal and your left turn signal. And when they do that and those work, they will get back into the vehicle. Okay, see how easy this is? See how you're doing great so far. You're doing great. No need to panic, okay? We've already passed so far. Okay, so here we are. We know the vehicle's working, vehicle's safe, everything's good. Couple things when you're sitting here in the vehicle. They're going to then ask you to start the vehicle. Obviously, you know how to start your vehicle. We're not going to go through that. Once the vehicle is started, which I'm going to do myself now just so we're ready to go. Once the vehicle is started, what we do want you to do is be able to signal your intentions everywhere you're going. We're sitting here in the parking lot. We are ready to go. Now, for us in this case, because the center we're in is closed, it is very, very quiet. But when you are getting into your actual road test, it is quite likely that these stalls beside you and around you will be filled up and there will be pedestrians. So the biggest thing and the highest tip I can give you for your entire road test is head movement and knowing what's around your vehicle. Your head needs to be constantly moving, knowing what is around your vehicle. Okay? So here you see me checking the mirrors with this camera. That's supposed to be my eye movement. We want to know everything that's going on around our vehicle, okay? We want to know this all the way through the driver's test because what's going to happen is right from the very start, your examiner is going to start looking at your head. And they're going to warn you, obviously, they're going to be writing things down. Don't worry because they do write things down constantly, even if it's good. So whenever you hear the pencil scratching over there in the passenger side, don't worry. You're not toast. They're not marking down necessarily things you've done wrong. They might actually be marking down notes to talk about that you did right. So for the pencil scratching, just let it go. One thing they're looking for and will write down, though, is your head movement. So we need to make sure that we're doing proper head movement. What is that? Well, proper head movement is every 5 to 10 seconds. I'd even say every 5 to 8 seconds, you should be checking your rear view mirror. The rear view mirror I'm referring to, in case you're confusing it with the side mirrors, is, of course, this one. We should be looking, check, looking, check, looking. Now, in my case, the camera's turning. You don't need to turn your head. It's just a glance up to the mirror every 5 to 10 seconds. This indicates to your examiner you're concerned about your surroundings and you're aware of your surroundings and that you constantly check your rear view mirror. Every 10 to 15 seconds as part of that rotation, you should also have a little glance at your side mirrors. It can be one every 10 to 15 seconds, but it shows your head movement, okay? So the head movement is key throughout the entire test. 360-degree checks are key throughout the entire test. So here we are, we're sitting here, we haven't moved anywhere, but we also don't know necessarily where all the pedestrians are. So the best thing to do when the examiner says let's go is to have a good, quick 360-degree check around the vehicle, know your surroundings, because I'll tell you, if you get to a pedestrian and they have to move because of you, now again, not necessarily because you're going to hit them, but because they don't want to be hit and they see you as a hazard, you will fail. That is an automatic fail. So anytime you've made a pedestrian have to make evasive action, even if it's minor, to get around you in a road test, it's a fail. So the pedestrians are really important, and that makes that head movement really important as well, to make sure you know where those pedestrians are. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is be told by the examiner where to go. So here we are, we're ready to go. Our vehicle's on, our foot is on the brake. We're doing our 360 check around the vehicle. We are ready to go. I don't see any pedestrians. I don't see any vehicles. Remember, if a vehicle has to take evasive action around you as well, automatic fail. So make sure you're ready for all vehicles and pedestrians around you throughout this road test, and I will continue to harp on that as we go through here. The first thing, though, anytime we're anywhere, and I don't care that you're in a parking lot, and I don't care what dad, mom, grandpa, brother, cousin say, you must signal in a parking lot, okay? You must, especially on a road test. So even though we're here and the examiner says pull out to your right, they aren't going to say signal and pull out to your right. However, they are expecting you to signal. So if that's the case, we do that. We signal to our right, and then we do another check for pedestrians, and then we get ready to go. Now, of course, it goes without saying, but I should hope that you have your seatbelt on as well. All right, so we are doing this now based on what we just said. We are going to leave to the right as we have been instructed. We are doing hand-over-hand steering, no sliding the wheel, and no one-handed steering. Do hand over hand there and hand over hand back. Stay in your lane. We know mom and dad don't stay in the lane in the parking lots, do they? We also know that grandpa really doesn't, right? So for you in a road test, you need to do that. As we come up to the end of the stalls, the examiner will say, please turn left. We signal again. I know it's a parking lot. We still have to do that. Hand over hand. Eyes up. And we want our eyes 10 to 15 seconds ahead to keep ourselves centered in the lane. Mirror check. You're going to hear me say that a couple times because you're not going to see me on camera. So you're going to hear me say it. Don't say it in your exam, obviously. Just remember it. Hear my voice. Remember my voice from watching this video. Mirror check. I'll give you mirror check itself means rear view mirror. Side mirror is what I'll say for side mirror check. Side mirror check. And eyes ahead. In between all of those checks, eyes end up ahead again. Okay, so mirror check. Looking into these curves, making sure we're centered in our lane. In this type of driveway, we try to stay below the speed limit of whatever the general speed limit is in your jurisdiction. I'm in London, Ontario, Canada. Here it's 50 kilometers per hour. If you don't see it posted, that's the automatic. I'm not going to go 50 in this parking lot. Despite this quite long driveway, I'm not going to get up to 50. You shouldn't either. Here are the situations where you can be below the speed limit, never above, but below, and that is this type of situation, okay? All right. We're going to go left at the end. So he's asked us to go left. We signal to our left. Here at the end of this driveway, we have to come right up to the curve in the road. The reason we do that is because there is no stop sign. There is no line. You must pay attention to the lines. If there is a stop line, that's where you stop. The front of your vehicle must stop before that stop line. In our case, it must stop before the edge of the curve of this road, and that is where we are right now. Right now, my eyes are moving. I'm looking left. I'm looking center. I'm looking right. I know you can't see that with this vehicle sitting here waiting for these cars to go by, but as you see them go by, I've already seen them. I've already planned for them, and I am just looking left, center, and right. And of course, we have quite a busy day here on this road. So now all these vehicles are going quickly, but that's okay. Even if it's this busy, do not feel pressured to find a clean spot to get out. If it is too tight, don't take it. Okay, this is the area where you can be more cautious. Even if they felt you were too cautious and take a point away, that's better than being too aggressive and getting a fail because you made a driver take evasive maneuvers to get around you. Okay, so this particular road, unfortunately for me right now, is quite busy. I'm taking it as a patience attitude, and I'm waiting so that I don't make anybody make an evasive move that causes me to fail this test right out of the gate before I even leave the parking lot of the testing center. all along here, I'm looking left, center, and right. I'm glancing at my mirrors. My head is constantly moving. This is a really good point for this, actually, because this is taking a long time. And even though this is taking a long time, we don't stop moving our hands, and we do not take our hands off the wheel. Okay, so even when you have a stop sign or a stoplight that's taking a while, hands must be on the wheel at all times throughout your entire test. Okay, so we're driving, we're looking 10 to 15 seconds ahead. That's keeping us centered in the lane. My speed limit here is 60 kilometers per hour. I cannot go over that. If I hit 61, my examiner will likely give me an opportunity to come back down to 60. But you do need to remember that you can't stay there. If you go over 62, 63, you better get right back. That doesn't mean you're going to fail automatically if you get there, but if you stay there for too long, you will fail automatically. So you have to make sure you're aware of that. You have to make sure that you're careful of that. And while I'm looking at this, I've got mirror checks happening. Okay, up here I see I've got an intersection to the left of me. What I'm going to do is put my thumb over the horn, and I'm going to glance at that intersection, left and then center. No need for right here because there is no right side to this intersection. Showing my examiner that I know to cover the horn in case somebody tries to pull out in front of me, and also to look ahead as well, and also to make sure I know what's going on in the intersection. So I'm pulling up to a traffic light. My examiner tells me that at the traffic light, we are going to go straight. So that's fine. I don't have to do anything here. We're going to go straight. When an examiner gives you an instruction, listen to the keys. They are not going to tell you about your lane changes. They are going to just expect you to do them. Okay? So as I get up here, if you've been taught, evasive maneuvers and defensive driving, you would have been taught to have 3 or 4 car lengths of space here. On an exam, you don't do that. On an exam, you have 1 car length of space. Okay? So just remember, we're leaving the 1 car length of space between me and the truck in front of me, and we wait. While we wait, our hands stay on the wheel at all times. We are looking around. We see the light is green. We are looking left, center, and right. We're taking special note of any pedestrians we see or anything that's going on in the intersection that could be hazardous. Once we get through the intersection, we are checking our mirror quickly. Glance there, I see a truck behind me. To the right, I see the motorcycle, and I cover my horn. Okay, now I'm driving in neighborhood. This is where they're going to get us to do a few of our maneuvers for this test. So we must be listening. Look at the speed hump. It says 30 kilometers an hour. Do not hit it at 50. Even though the speed limit on this street is 50, get down to that 30. First of all, you're going to go flying if you do hit it too fast. Okay, and these are rather large ones here too, so I'm going to go down even below 30 because honestly, I'm not falling for that one. That one would have sent us all through the roof. So I definitely tried to avoid hitting that at any specific speed. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is turn left at the stop sign. So if that's the instruction you get, signal nice and early and creep closer to the middle of the intersection. Here we have a stop line. We must stop before it and come to a complete stop. The person in front of us stopped first, so we're going to let them go. So we're here for the roadside stop, and the first thing we need to know is what to do next. So I'm going to pull up the camera so we can look around at what we need to do next. Okay, you're going to do this a lot faster than me, but I want you to make sure you have the right steps here. Once we have pulled over to the side of the road, we are going to disengage our right-hand turn signal, and because we're staying in the vehicle, we're going to put our four-way signal on. Okay, and that's because we're staying in the vehicle. If we're getting out of the vehicle, we are not going to do that. We would just simply put it into park. So the first thing we're going to do once we've pulled over is put the vehicle into park. Now, before we do that, I want to show you something. We are on a hill. It's not a big hill. You can see it's not a huge slant. But because we're on a hill, what the examiner is looking for us to do is turn our wheels to the left. Now, part of the reason we're doing that is why. I'm going to show you, first of all, what it looks like. So when we have our wheels turned to the right like this, or to the left when we're driving, you can see that because we're on this hill, if this parking brake were to disengage and the vehicle were to start rolling back, it would simply hit the curb and it would not go up onto the grass, and it would not roll out into the road again, putting people in danger and other vehicles and pedestrians. The only other thing you need to remember is that once you are in park, you also need to, so first of all, make sure the wheel is turned away from the curb if you're on a hill. If you're on a downhill, turn it toward the curb. Make sure the vehicle is going to nudge the curb if this parking brake and the emergency brake down here were to disengage. Now I've turned it on. That is what you need to do as well. Once you have turn the wheel, put this in park, and engaged your parking brake. Okay, we can see that here. Then you are done this maneuver. Okay. Now, what they might do to save time here is to do your 3-point turn. Now, in this case, I probably wouldn't. It's a little bit busy of a road. I'll show you a 3-point turn next, but don't be surprised if they want you to start your 3-point turn when you've done your roadside stop. This is a perfect roadside stop. We didn't lose any points, so let's get started again. What they're going to say to you next is take off the parking brake, and they actually won't even say that to you. They expect you to do that. Don't forget that you have it on. And pull away from the side of the road when it's safe to do so. And they'll often say that. Well, what are they looking for when they say when it's safe to do so? They are looking for you to look around. So again, here we are. We know it's not safe to pull away right now. In fact, we've got vehicles all around us moving. So this isn't the right time. They'll watch for that, right? Now they're going to expect you to check 360 degrees around the vehicle again before you ever move it, okay? We need to disengage our four-ways because it's soon time to signal to the world around us that we're making a move. We're pulling away from the side of the road. Okay, so that's disengaged. Now we make sure that we are continually moving our head and we are finding our way out of here. So the first thing we're going to do is check our blind spot as we pull away. Okay, so I'm signaling to my left as I'm going to pull away. I've done my 360 check. Everything looks safe. I am now pulling away from the curb, and I've done my quick glance to my blind spot, and I begin to accelerate. Again, gentle acceleration. We don't want to give the examiner whiplash at any time during this test. Now, at the stop sign, please turn right. So if that's the case, now I'm immediately signaling right, and I'm coasting a little closer to the curb here because I know I need to turn right, and I want to hug the curb nicely. So I'm stopping here at the stop line first. And I begin my turn by checking my blind spot for any pedestrians that are coming and turn into this hill here and up this street. So we're going up this street. Beautiful right-hand turn, nice and close to the curb, hand over hand. We're checking our mirror. We're checking this intersection, left, center, and right as we pass. Mirror. Side mirror. Mirror, and every time between we're looking straight ahead, by the way. I'm just not going to tell you that. I would hope you know that. Up here, I'd like you to perform a 3-point turn. Okay, so what we want to do next is our 3-point turn. At some point along here, please find a safe spot to perform a 3-point turn. Well, it's not in this curve, so that's a big thing to know. It's not in any curve. We need to try to find a straightaway for this, and they're looking for you to do that. Even here, there's a slight curve ahead that I wouldn't want to be doing a 3-point turn in. Okay, so we're going to just go slightly past that curve in order to execute our 3-point turn. Now, I'm not going to go much further than this because I don't want to get too close to that intersection. So I've pretty much found my spot. Okay, so I'm going to get this curb right in the middle of my hood so that way I have the maximum amount of space to be able to perform this 3-point turn. Now, whenever we're doing a 3-point turn, we still look all the way around our vehicle. So 360 degrees turning around our vehicle, making sure there's no pedestrians and no vehicles that we're going to cause to have to make an evasive maneuver that would have to cause us to fail this test. Okay, so here we go. So when we do a 3-point turn, we want to move with the speed of the vehicle. We want to signal our direction, which is left in this case. We do not put our four-ways on because we're not staying here. Okay, so we're going to signal left to signal to drivers around us that we're moving. And we are going to check our blind spot quickly over our shoulder. And we are going to start to turn into this 3-point turn. Now, as you get to the end of the 3-point turn, you want to straighten the wheel. The reason we want to straighten the wheel is it gives us our maximum ability to back up because we don't have to correct our steering. So straighten the wheel back out as you get to that first curve. Then we signal to the right and we begin backing. Now, because we have already straightened our wheel, backing up gives us the maximum amount of space to back up. And that allows us to not have to do a triple, 4 times, 5 times point turn. Instead, even though this is a thinner road, we have the ability to now straighten out and go the other way, right? And when we do that, we don't miss, okay? And we are up and out of here. So now we've turned around. Our 3-point turn is complete. We are going to look straight ahead, and we're going to check our mirror. We've done 2 of the maneuvers now in our road test perfectly that they're going to ask us to do. The next one that they're going to try to find a spot to do, and sometimes they won't be able to, is the parallel park. Sometimes they are not able to find a vehicle that they're trusting enough for you to park beside, and that's okay. But we will try to find one as part of our road test simulation here, just to make sure you get a chance to do it. However, again, there may not be the opportunity in your road test potentially to not do that. So here they're going to tell us to turn right, and as we turn right, we're hugging the curb a little bit. We know this is a yield sign. We do not have to come to a stop here. However, we do need to come close to a stop and make sure that traffic is clear for us to make this turn. We stay closer to the curb. We eyes up 10 to 15 seconds, nice and straight, finish to that turn, and we are good to go. At the stop sign, we're going to turn right again. So here they are testing your right-hand turns. This stop sign has a stop line, which means this is where we stop. We do not stop at the sidewalk. We do not stop at the crosswalk lines. We stop at the stop line. As we creep forward, it is an all-way stop, so it's our right of way. Make sure you know your right of way at an all-way stop and continue your turn nice and square and nice and close to the curb there on a right-hand turn. And now they're going to say, let's turn left. Here we signal. We're going to turn left here. We're going to check our blind spot for pedestrian. We do not have to come to a stop because it is not a stop sign. And so we need to make sure that the only time we come to a stop there is if we see a vehicle. If we don't, then we just keep going. And a nice square left-hand turn there, checking our mirror afterwards. Well done. All right, we're on a hill. We're looking up, 10 to 15 seconds into the curve. As best we can, obviously. We can't see what's around the curve. And we continue to drive. They are continuing to monitor our speed and our head movement, so we are checking our mirrors, checking around, making sure we show the examiner we are looking for any hazards that could be here. Okay? So now, let's think about our parallel park. All right, so now our examiner says to us, let's find a vehicle we can park beside, and we are looking for a parallel park opportunity, and lo and behold, around this curve, we've got one. Black vehicle here. Let's do it. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. When we parallel park, we pull up alongside the vehicle, and we match our shoulders to their door, to their driver's side, to where they're sitting. Okay? So when we do that, we've got our signal on. We are matched to their driver's side door. Get my shoulder up to it. Okay? Now, this is the easy way. This is very easy to do. Okay? We signal to the right. We move with the vehicle. First, we're going to look around to make sure. We're 360. We're good. We're safe. We look all around for that. Everybody looks good. We are going to start to let the vehicle creep back. And as we creep, we are turning. And we are only turning at the speed of the vehicle. And we're watching over here because the best way to parallel park is wait until you can see shoulder side 45-degree angle. Okay? And you'll see that right on that brake light. That brake light will align with your shoulder. And when it does, we start to turn back, but only with the speed of the car. And when we do that, you can see we nail this parallel park. Boom. Just like that. And then we straighten the vehicle. We put it into drive to align it. We put it into park. And we engage the parking brake. Perfect parallel park. Okay, now that we're ready to go, we're going to signal to the left. We're going to go into drive, go into reverse if you need to back away from the vehicle a little bit. So let's do that just so you can see it. We're going to disengage the parking brake. We're going to back up, but make sure we look out the back of the vehicle every time we back up. Then we can put it into drive, signal to the left, and slowly creep away, checking our blind spot on our way out for that last hazard that could be coming along here. Okay, perfect parallel park. Now, one of those keys is remembering to do that shoulder check. So shoulder to shoulder with the driver as if the driver was in that vehicle to start, creeping backwards, turning the vehicle the entire time. So as we creep backwards, we're turning the vehicle toward the curb the entire time with the speed of the vehicle. If you do it too fast or too slow, you will not be able to execute the parallel park perfectly. But if you do it with the speed of the vehicle, you'll get to 45 degrees angle. You wait until you see the brake light at your shoulder, and then begin to turn back with the speed of the car. Again, nice and slowly with the exact speed of the car, and that will allow you to get a perfectly aligned parallel park to the curb. Okay, so just remember those easy, quick steps. And then again, like I say, if you have to pull up a little bit to make it a perfect parallel park, that's fine. Expect your examiner, here we got to stop, again in a stop line, okay? Expect your examiner to open the door and check your alignment with the curb on a parallel park. On that last one we just did, it was epically perfect, and they would have been very happy with that. All right, so we are done the maneuvers. That's exciting because nobody likes those maneuvers. But we did them, and they were easy. And there were easy tricks and tips in what we did to make it a heck of a lot easier for you. All right. So now, the only thing left in these road tests, in particular in the shorter ones for graduated licensing, are lane changes and city driving. So we're going to switch to that. I'm going to stop the camera now while we're getting through this neighborhood, and we'll pick it back up on the city roads. All right, so we are now driving along the major intersections is the next part of our tests here. And we are going to try and look right ahead. We've got a driver pulling out in front of us, so we're just going to cover the brake. So we go through this intersection with lots of space. Do not allow yourself to creep up on the back end of that vehicle because that is going to be a fail. Along here, we've got a lot of parked vehicles, so we want to have our thumb over the horn just to make sure that we are not going to hit any of those vehicles or any pedestrians that might be hidden out there. Eyes moving, checking those tires, making sure we're going left, center, right. We are making sure we are also checking our mirror right now. So we're driving 10 to 15 seconds ahead is where we're looking. That is keeping us straight in our lane. Okay, we've got a parking lot intersection to the left, left, center. No right in this case. Lot busier along here, and we are going exactly the speed limit of 60. That will annoy drivers. When you get up to a two-lane spot, we need to signal, check our blind spot, and slide over into the right-hand lane. It is important that you are always traveling in the right-hand lane unless told to go left up front, or in fact, if they want to see a lane change and are asked specifically to do a lane change, which may happen if there's no lane change opportunities to turn left. They will ask you to change a lane and then ask you to change a lane back when it's safe to do so. So in our part of this, we're just staying in the two lanes. Our next instruction is to go to the right. We are past the point of no return, so we are going to go through that, and that's okay. Okay, so we knew we could not stop there. They expect you to not be able to stop there, and you know that you're through your point of no return. Pardon my stumbling there. All right. As we approach this intersection, we want to leave a big car's length, but nothing more than that. And we don't want to have to give your instructor or your examiner whiplash, so we want to make sure it's a nice, smooth stop and a nice, smooth acceleration going ahead again. At the next intersection, we're going to turn right. But we know that this next intersection is busy. It is big and it is busy. So we are going to signal to the right, slide in as if it's a lane change, no whiplash for your instructor. We've got pedestrians this time. So we need to know what those pedestrians are doing. We've got a green light so we can keep going. Check the blind spot to make sure the pedestrians aren't going. And a nice, smooth right-hand turn into this lane. Now, we aren't going to have a left-hand turn coming up. Actually, we are, so I'm not going to leave that. I'm going to just leave this here, but we are in the right lane. We do not make a lane change to the left unless we are told to do so. Always in the right lane in your road test. Okay, we're going to pull up here. They're watching your stop, so make sure it's nice and smooth. Eyes are moving. We know everything that's going on in the intersection. Okay, eyes are moving to the mirrors, left, center, right. We're through the intersection. Our examiner isn't saying much, and that's okay. We're being marked right now as we drive along here. And I apologize for the bumps. The road is not all that high quality here right now. Looking to the right, covering the horn for the guy that's creeping out of the parking lot. And again, we continue to drive along. Still no new instruction, means we're being examined for our roadway driving in the city. That's okay. Left, center, right. Quick glance at our speed. We're right at 60, so we're doing great there. Again, you can't go over. If you find yourself 1 or 2 over, get yourself quickly back down. If you find yourself 1 or 2 under, get yourself quickly back up. Left, center, right again. We see this gentleman making a lane change here. We keep our distance. All that means is coming off the gas to give him space. These drivers are turning into the plaza, so we want to make sure we glance at their tires to make sure they don't make a last-second change to come back out here. Left, center, right. At the next intersection, we will be turning right. So we have our instructions and our marching orders. All we have to do when that right-hand turn lane appears, signal to the right, and glide into the right-hand turn. Again, no jerking the wheel, no whiplash for your examiner. Glide, you got lots of space. Running out of time here, no point of no return. We have to stop. Okay, we stop at the stop line, and we have a look. Nobody's going yet. So we're just going to go because we've got that turn signal, that right turn signal we just saw. And that's okay. At the next intersection, we're going to turn left. Okay, so now when it's safe to do so, we need to make our lane change. We're going to signal to the left, check our blind spot, change into that lane. Now we also have to signal to our left, check our blind spot, and change into the left turn lane to be able to make the turn they've instructed us to make. Now they'll probably give you more notice than I gave there, but this is when you would change into the left turn lane. Leave a vehicle's distance space from the intersection, and as we're stopped, and you can see this is quite a busy intersection, we are looking around. Okay, we want to see it. First of all, the angle of this intersection is quite sharp. So we know that. We know by looking around there are no pedestrians, but there are a lot of vehicles. We also know now that the vehicles across from us get an advanced green, so we cannot creep up yet until our light is actually green. Once it's green, we can creep 1 car length into the intersection, and that is it. I'm going to do a little less here because of the sharpness of the angle. When we have a safe moment to turn, that is when we turn. We do not turn panicking and making ourselves look foolish or making anybody make an evasive maneuver that will cause you to fail. So we have to be patient here. We see there is no spot. This spot is a little iffy too. Now we've got a guy turning left up there, so that has created a spot. See, we were patient and we waited. The light changed. Make a nice square, or as best we can, turn into the left turn lane here. And because we are now on the left side, we signal immediately without being asked to the right, check our blind spot, and move over to the right. Okay? So that is what we do there. That was not instructed, that is expected. Always, if you turn left into the left-hand turn lane on a road test, signal and get into the right lane right after, because that is what is expected. You've got about 5 seconds to show that intention. Okay? So we continue to drive along. Our road test is about to be complete. We've done basically everything that we need to do for the road test, except one thing, and that is the freeway. That's next. Okay, the next and final spot on your road test, if you are doing a full road test, is the freeway, and then getting on and off of the freeway, as well as making lane changes on the freeway. Now, oddly enough, the freeway is actually the safest place you'll ever drive. It is obviously straightaway, most of it, and oftentimes you're not really having to do any maneuvers. There's no intersections, pedestrians, things like that. You're just going faster. So when you get on this freeway, it's important to stay calm, and it's important to stay sort of grounded in what the freeway actually is, which is a fairly easy to drive option. I mean, it really is. So we just need to do it correctly, and we need to do it correctly here on this road test. So we're coming up on it now. We're going to head to the right here. And the big thing they're looking for here is eye movement and getting up to speed on time. So in Canada, it's 100 kilometers an hour. Oftentimes it's 50 or 60 miles an hour in the US, but same exact thing, just different ways of measuring it. So we await to turn right here, and we await to go onto the freeway. And this will usually be the last step in your test. It might be the first step if your driver exam center is closer to the freeway than it is neighborhoods. They might do this first. But either way, you're not doing this if you're in a graduated licensing program and you're on your first test. So that's generally not going to happen. They don't expect you to drive on the freeway. They expect you to go get some experience driving on the freeway first. That's the whole idea behind graduated licensing. So here we go. So we are getting ready to turn right here, and right after the light is the freeway. You can see it coming up here. And we just want to make sure we don't have anybody coming over quickly here. Okay. So we're going to get on the freeway. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to signal our intention to get on the freeway with our signals. So we've signaled to the right, and we are drifting in. There's a guy making a last-minute move, and we were ready for that. So you wouldn't fail for that because we did not have to make an evasive mover on him. Okay, and as we get into this lane, some of these lanes are nice and long, and you don't have to use your passing gear to get up to the speed you need to. So some of these, you will need to get up to your passing gear. Okay, and so we are going to hammer it to the passing gear. We need to get right up to speed, and we signal to our left. We give lots of intention time for the vehicles coming the other way on this lane. And we got in nice and easy. Again, don't herky-jerky movements, no whiplash. It's nice and easy. Okay, we're going to have to do the same thing up here. This is a double lane. So I'm signaling to the left now so that as I become visible to this traffic on the main freeway, they know that my intention is to get into this lane. I'm checking my blind spot, and I'm moving over. Nice and easy. Very, very slight movement of the wheel now. You know that as a freeway driver. You don't have to move the wheel very much to make that lane change. So no herky-jerky movements. We haven't had to make a lane change yet. We're going to do that on the next stretch of freeway. Up here, we're going to turn right into the 402. So we check our blind spot and we signal to the right as we are instructed. Now, one thing that's tricky here is this is not an off-ramp, so we are not slowing down. Okay, this is a ramp to a separate freeway. When it is safe to do so, I would like you to make a lane change. Well, now we've heard it, but we're here on this curve. It's not necessarily the safe to do so spot. Could lose a point here. So we're going to wait just for a second. And we see as we start to come out of this curve, it's a lot safer to make that lane change. We signal. We now know what's around us. It's nice and easy. Quick blind spot check. Back ahead and drift over. Beautiful lane change. When it's safe to do so, change back, and we're going to get off the highway. Perfect. That's our instruction. When it's safe to do so, change back. We know, we can see headlights of the vehicle behind us. If we can see those, we know we have lots of space. Signal to the right, quick blind spot check, and slide over. Again, no whiplash, nice easy lane change. And we're back in the right-hand lane, perfectly past that maneuver. And all we have to do now is worry about getting off the highway, or the freeway, I should say. And that is next. And as we approach that exit, a couple of things need to happen. Do not, first of all, make sure you're going the speed limit still, which we are. We're right at 100, so that's perfect. and then we're going to start to signal a little before this off-ramp, but we do not slow down until we are in the off-ramp. We drift into the off-ramp, and now we let our speed come down. We do not let our speed come down on the highway. It is generally a fail if you do that. Make sure you do not start slowing down until you get into the off-ramp. Ladies and gentlemen, you have passed your road test. Whether you were doing a short road test or whether you were doing a full road test that included the freeway, you did it. If you did all of the things in this video, you made it. All of the eye movement, all of the different maneuvers, all of the different tricks to those maneuvers as well, like in the three-point turn, straightening out your wheel at each step, in the parallel park, utilizing your shoulder to line up with the driver's side seat of the vehicle you're parking beside first, then backing up and waiting until that brake light appears at your shoulder before turning back the other way. Remembering to turn with the speed of the vehicle in any maneuver that you're making, including parking, and making sure those eyes move. Left, center, right, watching all these intersections. I'm not going to take you right back to the parking lot because I know you know how to park. You did a great job. Thanks for sticking with us. I know it's a long video, but it's worth it. Rewatch it. Watch it. Rewatch it. Like and subscribe. There's lots more videos like this too. Please support the channel. We appreciate your time and the effort you put into your road test and getting ready for your road test and being a safe driver. Good luck out there. Be safe, and thanks for watching.